Across to Vandana Hari, the founder and CEO of Vanda Insights. Vandana, thanks so much for joining us on Saturday. You know, let's be honest, Saudi Arabia, I think, literally teased the consumer nations when we saw Saudi Arabia's energy minister saying no decision on a quantum has been arrived at, that he's taking into account Donald Trump's tweets talking about affordable prices. He spoke about Narendra Modi, the meetings that Narendra Modi's had with Saudi Arabia. And within 24 hours, we hear about a 1.2 million barrel cut.
Hi, Nayantara. So it was a difficult meeting, and some of the statements and messages that you saw coming out of the meeting in the lead up to the decision were, I see them as very classic negotiation, bargaining tactics. So, for instance, we heard the Saudi minister at one point say, if there is no deal, that might very much be the case. So it's basically saying that, if people don't come around to our point of view, then we are happy to walk away from the table. So all of that, it was quite high drama. I think it was a difficult decision. There were quite a lot of individual countries' interests and different points of views, all of which needed to be consolidated. So overall, that was difficult. And I think the messaging and if you had a look at the quite a rather long press conference that they had finally after the end of the long day yesterday, the messaging was also done very, very carefully. So as you just mentioned, I think Al-Fali, the Saudi minister, was very careful not to make it seem that he was doing it, he was beholden to Donald Trump. He said, if we will put as much oil as is needed on the market, despite this cut, but it's not just because of Trump. And he, on a couple of occasions through this week, he had talked about how he had also been listening to the Indian Prime Minister, Narendra Modi. So I think that was all part of very careful messaging. One journalist...
But, Vandana...
Yeah, go on.
But Vandana, since you brought up Trump, I wanted to ask you one more point. And we did hear even before this decision how Saudi Arabian energy minister talked about Donald Trump. He spoke about Narendra Modi. But if you look at the decisions that's been taken, Iran doesn't have to participate. You've got Qatar, which is now... saying it's pulling out of the OPEC from January. We know about the tension between Russia as well as the United States. So while many say that Donald Trump is controlled by Russia, that's a totally different debate I don't want to get into. Having said that, would you now believe that OPEC with Russia will still have the same kind of clout, or is this a new kind of a trade war that could also be taking place that we are witnessing?
So if your concern is about, will they really cut by 1.2, and who knows, or will they end up cheating again? I think that concern will always remain. As long as OPEC has any decisions to curtail production, there'll always be an element of doubts and skepticism in the market. However, I do feel that given the very strong compliance and discipline that they've showed since the start of 2017, I have no reason to believe that it will be any different. But what does make things a bit different this time is some of the lines have not been drawn as clearly as they had been in 2017. So when they started out in 2017, there was very specific quotas for every country, which was, even though not officially published, it was officially published by OPEC as well. So everybody knew what each country has committed to producing. This time it's a little bit fuzzy. It's every country has been asked to reduce by about 2.5% within OPEC, 2.5% from their October levels. Now they do say they have the JMC, the Ministerial Monitoring Committee, within which is going to keep a close eye on everything.
Yeah. Vandana, we're running out of time, so I apologize for interjecting you there. Because we're running out of time, I apologize for interjecting you there. I want to make this my final question. The India impact. Of course, the fisc is going to be impacted. We've seen a bounce back of 5% already. The question I want to ask you is that there was a temporary relief that we got when crude prices had crashed by 40% from the highs. Should the central exchequer, should the stakeholders in India now just come to terms with the fact that crude is going to stay at 60, if not above. Those hopes, or maybe it'll reach 50, etc., are gone, are completely dampened?
So here's what India needs to keep in view. These are the high-level outcome of everything that's been going on this year. Where crude ended yesterday, Friday, is actually a few dollars below where it started this year. So essentially, all the gains of this year have been wiped out and some more. Now, I think the market has more or less factored in everything that happened yesterday in terms of OPEC's cuts. So, and we have Brent sitting close at 61, 67 on Friday. I personally don't expect crude. It will remain under pressure from all the financial markets turmoil. I personally don't expect it to go way higher than where it is now. So I think it should definitely be a relief for India. Definitely no reason I see to worry about, even $75 or $80 prices for now. It's not going to go down to the 50s, but it's not going into the 70s either.
Okay, that's a silver lining, that we're not going to see it bounce back.